Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
We can give you many reasons why we should not be devoting an entire episode of Cut the Clutter to the municipal elections in Gujarat. That too, limited municipal elections. So what are the many reasons? One is that only 6 corporations have gone for elections right now. Many more will go for polls on Feb 28. That is 31 district panchayats, 231 taluka panchayats. They will go for elections on Feb 28. Of the 8 municipal corporations, 2, that is Gandhinagar and Junagadh, are yet to complete 5 years, so they haven't gone to the polls. 6 others have gone to the polls, that is Ahmedabad, Rajkot, Jamnagar, Bhavnagar, Vadodara, Surat. So why should, first big reason, why should just municipal elections in 6 municipalities or corporations be something that we talk about in Cut the Clutter as if it affects national politics? But then you will turn around and say that, Shekhar Gupta, you talked about Punjab municipal elections, and Punjab, if anything, sends about half as many MPs to National Parliament, Lok Sabha, as Gujarat. So why not Gujarat? Good point. But then there is a second point against devoting a Cut the Clutter episode to a Gujarat municipal election. That the results have been predictable because Gujarat is the Modi-Shah state. They sweep everything in that state. They've got all, in last 2 elections, they won all the Lok Sabha seats there. They've been winning the state assembly there since the mid-90s, that is the BJP, 2002 onwards, Narendra Modi and then his appointees. So what's the big deal? Yes, that's a valid point that they have swept this election as well. If anything, they have swept it more decisively. So what is the story? Why should we talk about this? Let me now give you reasons why we should look at this, because some interesting things have happened here. The reason we should look at Gujarat municipal elections, one, that this is just a year before the assembly elections, as we said for Punjab, so that reason is there. This is a bellwether for what might happen next year. Second, Gujarat is a very urban state. Gujarat is not really a classical urban-rural state. Gujarat is very urbanized. Not as much as, say, Kerala, but still Gujarat is quite urbanized. So what happens in cities also reflects in the villages and vice versa. Second, very important, we talk about this at the national level, we draw meanings from this because of what happened in 2017 assembly elections in Gujarat. So let me ask you a question. This is the 7th year of Modi government. What is the closest that the Congress party or Rahul Gandhi, what is the closest that they have come to reversing the Narendra Modi juggernaut? Now, reversing means it takes a long time to send it back or drive it away. But if you can slow it down, if you can block it, if you can start pushing it back, that's a big change. And they came very close to it only once in these 7 years. When was that? That was during the Gujarat elections of 2017. So what Rahul Gandhi and Congress did, very cleverly, they got a lot of the diverse groups together. They got the Patidars, the Patels together with Hardik Patel, young Hardik Patel's party. They got Dalits together with Jignesh Mevani and some others. They also got Thakurs, who are a backward caste in Gujarat. India is a very complex country. Rajputs are backward caste in Gujarat. So Madhav Singh Solanki, who was Gujarat's chief minister for a long time, was Rajput and an OBC in Gujarat. Nevertheless, so he was able to collect quite an alliance. So he got Alpesh Thakur, a Thakur leader, OBC leader. He got Jignesh Mevani, a Dalit leader, Hardik Patel, a Patidar or Patel leader, and he rallied his party also. And there were some disaffections in Gujarat, there was unemployment, etc. So it looked like he was giving Narendra Modi a very close run. And at one point it looked like that this alliance or this combination might just get the better of the BJP. Now, if Congress party had been able to defeat Narendra Modi in Gujarat in 2017, and they were close, I will give you the figures, they were close. If that had happened, that would have completely broken Narendra Modi's momentum. Because if that happened 1.5 years before your national elections, then everybody, all your loyal bureaucracy, judiciary, everybody starts looking the other way, and everybody then starts waiting for 2019 for the next election. Narendra Modi saw that threat. That's why he doubled his effort in Gujarat. Because one thing Narendra Modi doesn't do is take his politics lightly. He takes it very seriously. So he addressed 38 rallies in Gujarat, many more than he had planned earlier, and he also brought in all kinds of tactics, including insinuations that Dr. Manmohan Singh was dining with the Pakistan High Commissioner, and there was a conspiracy to install a Muslim chief minister in Gujarat, which could have only been Ahmed Patel at that point. But that was basically to ensure that he was leaving no trick unused in the book to ensure that he did not suffer that setback, because he knew how close that fight was. And it is because of that that his response was so sentimental after the BJP won. So when he spoke to his party in Delhi, he shed tears in public, one of the few occasions when he's done so. Lately, he did that while talking to Ghulam Nabi Azad in a very different context. But this time he did that, and I wrote a national interest then saying, read my tears, that he was basically so relieved that he'd been able to push away this challenge in Gujarat. So that is the closest the Congress party has come to breaking his momentum. Now, what happened in that election? In that election, the Congress party did quite well. In that election, the Congress party got BJP down to 99 seats. That was the lowest under Modi. It was 16 less than what it had earlier. So it had 115 earlier. Now they were down to 99 seats. This was only 7 more than the majority mark. 92 is the majority mark. It's a 182 member house in Gujarat. 92 is the majority mark. It was just 7 more. And imagine if, say, NCP had not contested separately. And why NCP contested separately? There are stories behind that also, and we are not going into those in detail. But the fact also is that ED and some others have paid some visits to some NCP leaders just as the build up to the elections were taking place, and probably that made sure that NCP and Congress did not combine, because if you just added to the Congress, if NCP was part of Congress alliance, then this gap of 7 seats would have become much narrower, or maybe this would have tilted the balance, and you can imagine India's political history would have changed. So that was the big change that happened. Now look at what's happened in Gujarat in political history. Why do we see 2017 to be so significant? After that, of course, the national elections, Modi swept. But given how close he had come to Modi, Rahul Gandhi, in 2017, he should have been able to build his party in the state in such a way that come next time, which will be next year, he will be able to again have a chance of repeating something like that now. Instead, something else has happened. Instead, what has happened is the Congress party has got wiped out in these 6 elections. Wiped out as in wiped out. Very often, in most places, by the ratio of 9:1. So I will give you some numbers. Look at Ahmedabad. BJP has 159 seats. Congress has 25 seats. Rajkot. BJP has 68. Congress has 4. Jamnagar, BJP has 50, Congress has 11. Bhavnagar, BJP has 44, Congress has 8. Vadodara, BJP has 69, Congress has 7. So a tenth of the BJP. Surat, BJP has 93, and Congress has some counting, some last counts are to come in, but about 6 seats. So not even 10% of the BJP, much less, and something else has happened in Surat, which also is the reason why we are talking about this in Qatar. Now, let's go back to our Congress reason for talking about these Gujarat municipal elections. There was a trend in Gujarat elections for the past 3 elections when BJP was ahead of the Congress in assembly elections, but Congress was narrowing the gap. So the key thing in Gujarat and the fascinating thing about Gujarat has been that while this is the Modi land or Modi Shah land, they sweep everything, but Congress party has got its core vote, which is a very sizable vote share of about 40% intact. It's one of those states which have a direct fight between Narendra Modi's BJP and the Congress party, and Congress party has kept its 40% vote share about cohesive. If anything, over the last three assembly elections, this gap had been narrowing. If you look at the gap in 2017, this gap was 7.7%. But if you go backwards, then 2007, this gap was 9.47%. BJP was ahead of Congress by 9.47%. BJP had 49.12% votes, Congress had 39.63% vote. In 2012, while Modi had served 2 terms and he was seeking his 3rd term and everybody knew he was going to win, I wrote writings on the wall from Gujarat also, pretty much reflecting that. But in that election also, not only did Congress maintain its vote share, it actually increased it a little bit. So a gap that was earlier 9.4% now became only 9%. This gap come 2017, when Narendra Modi is Prime Minister, when he's got all the resources and Gujaratis are voting for their pride and they know the benefits of having a government in the state of the same party that runs the center, particularly when it's a party in the government run by Gujaratis, Narendra Modi and Amit Shah. Even then, the Congress further narrowed the gap. So 2017, the gap between the two parties had narrowed to about 7.7%. So BJP was 49.1%, Congress was 41.4%. So two things. One, it was a straight fight state, just as say Kerala is a straight fight LDF, UDF state, or Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh are straight fight Congress versus BJP states. This was a straight fight Congress versus BJP state where Congress was gaining in. In 2017, they came very close. As I mentioned to you, BJP got 99 seats, 16 less than what they had earlier, and Congress got 77, which was 16 more what they had earlier. So if you look at the Congress's seats in Gujarat in the assembly elections also, Congress's seats have also gone like that: 1995 45, 1998 53, 2002 51, 2007 59, and then 2017. So Congress was going up both in vote share and the seats. Remember, Congress has not won a majority in Gujarat since 1985. That's when, if I remember correctly, Amar Singh Chaudhary had become the chief minister. So Congress had 2 powerful chief ministers in that era, Amar Singh Chaudhary and Madhav Singh Solanki. One was a backward caste, one was a tribal. Amar Singh Chaudhary was a tribal. And their choice or their rise to leadership reflected the fact that Madhav Singh Solanki had worked out a very successful voter combination in Gujarat called KHAM, K-H-A-M. That's it. That is Kshatriya, Harijan, as Dalits were called then, Kshatriya, Harijan, Adivasi, Muslim. And these communities then together provided a sufficient vote bank for the Congress to keep winning. It's only later when the RSS and the BJP were able to cut into the Adivasi vote bank that things began to change. And once the Congress lost, they haven't come back. They got power briefly for some time because of a big defection in BJP. It was a rare defection. BJP does not have big defections. That is when Shankar Singh Waghela left the BJP and became chief minister. Otherwise, Congress has not won the power since 1985. 2017 was their best chance. Now, the first election after that at the local level, not parliament. Parliament is the Modi factor. Congress has done very badly. So this tells you that not only has Rahul Gandhi failed to build on his success of 2017, he should have known that coming up next year, state elections again, he again has a chance. If he failed the first time, remember King Bruce and the spider, If he failed the first time, came this close, maybe next time he'll have a chance. But obviously, some of the choices he's made are not right. His party is faction ridden. Too many defections have taken place. And also the choice of the party chief that he made in a very young Hardik Patel, who had nothing to do with Congress ideology or history, etc. He's a charismatic leader of the Patels or Patidars, and that has had a consequence. I will come to that. That has gone wrong. So that is one big pointer. So maybe Narendra Modi and Amit Shah will now be a little bit relieved looking at the assembly election in Gujarat next year, because they know that the chief minister is not really a strong person. A chief minister is not somebody who can get votes in his own name. So it will still have to be a vote for Modi. Now there are two other very good reasons why we should talk about Gujarat municipal elections today, and why it has an impact on national politics, and why it reflects the new mood in national politics. Maybe these are straws in the wind, but they are not insignificant straws in the wind. You can duck them if you are just anybody, but you cannot duck them if you are a political analyst. So what are these straws? The most important thing is the arrival of Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat. Now, they've had success, not as big as they are making it out to be, but that is politics. When you get success, you must flaunt it. So Arvind Kejriwal is now going to Surat to hold a victory procession, etc. Because what's happened in Surat is that while BJP has swept Surat with 93 seats, Congress has got about 5 or 6 depending on the final count, but Aam Aadmi Party has got 27 seats. Now these are seats mostly in Patidar or Patel areas. These were people who inhabit large areas of Surat and who had been angry earlier, and who were primarily the players or members, or who provided the energy or the fuel for what was called as an organization called PAS, PAAS. That stands for Patidar Anamat Andolan Samiti. So this was an agitation for reservations for Patels, which Hardik Patel led. Now it does look like that since Hardik Patel left this and joined the Congress party, his partidars have decided not to vote for him. They still don't want to vote for the BJP. So instead of voting for a Congress led by their own former leader, they have gone ahead and voted for Aam Aadmi Party as an option. That's a very interesting thing, right? Now this has not happened elsewhere, but there are some indications. Again, straws in the wind. Rajkot. If you see Rajkot results, Rajkot is a smaller corporation. 68 seats BJP has got, 4 seats Congress has got out of 72 seats. So AAP has got no seat. But in 14 seats, Congress is not the second, AAP is the second. And I'm sure as more details come in, we'll see some of these from other places also. So there is an AAP entry, which is telling us something. It is not telling us that AAP is going to rule Gujarat next year, but it's telling us something about national politics. I'll conclude with that in a minute. Second, look at Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad also has large Muslim localities. They've got ghettoized in quite a big way, unfortunately, now in the past 20 years or so. Now, they've got even more ghettoized. They were ghettoized earlier also, but now even more ghettoized. So normally you would think, oh, Muslims will vote for Congress because they will vote against the BJP to defeat the BJP. What's happened in Ahmedabad is also interesting, because it's also in a way a reflection of what's happened in Surat, but under a different, for a different party. A different party is the beneficiary. In Ahmedabad, BJP wins 159 seats, Congress wins 25 seats, and 7 seats go to which party? Not AAP. The 7 seats go to AIMIM, All India Majlis-e-Ittehadul Muslimin. So they've got 7 seats. What that is telling you is that the Muslim vote in Gujarat, when they found an option, has shifted there. Maybe more Muslims in other constituencies have also voted for AIMIM or elsewhere. So Congress's loss of the Muslim vote. So when you say calm, Adivasis, most of them the BJP RSS had taken earlier because of the work that RSS did in Adivasi areas at grassroots level. Now, if the Muslims also go to some other party, in this case Owaisi's party, that means Congress is in very deep trouble, in the one state where it had the potential until 2017 of challenging the Modi-Shah Ashwamedh Yagya. So that is significant. Now the larger point also here is, and this is something that we've said in the past, Congress party has a pakka vote in the country. Even in the two elections, 2014 and 19, with Modi waves, so Congress got wiped out, got 40 odd seats and 50 odd seats, early 40s, early 50s. Even then, it got 20% of the vote. Opinion poll after opinion poll tells you that 20% of the vote stays with the Congress because they will not vote for the BJP no matter what. Congress owns that vote. Now, see what happens to that vote if the Congress does not have leaders in a state to be able to hang on to that vote. What happens is that someone else takes that vote. BJP doesn't take that vote, someone else takes that vote. Look at the political map of the country. In West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee took away that vote from the Congress. In Andhra, Telangana, Congress party used to sweep completely. In Andhra, YSR has taken away Congress party's vote, YSR CP. Similarly, in Telangana, KCR has taken away that Congress vote. It has not gone to the BJP because it will not go to the BJP. In Maharashtra, it's increasingly going to the NCP, Sharad Pawar's party, although an ally of the Congress. Now Congress is the number 3 party in Maharashtra. They were the leading party in Maharashtra for a very long time, much stronger than BJP or Shiv Sena, and definitely the much bigger brother of NCP. Now they are smaller because Congress party's national leadership is not able to attract these votes, and where it does not, because it does not have local leaders, they are not able to keep it together. Where they have local leaders, they can keep it together. See, for example, Punjab, Amrinder Singh has been able to keep his votes together, in fact, win back with a very large majority. Even to that extent, Rajasthan, between Ashok Gehlot, Sachin Pilot, etc., there are some formidable leaders. Chhattisgarh, Baghel, formidable leader. Also, Mr. Singh Deo. So there are leaders who can keep their vote together. But where Congress does not have its leaders or makes these nutcase experiments like Hardik Patel in Gujarat, someone else and comes their vote. Now see what happened in Delhi. Lock, stock and barrel, overnight, Congress party's vote shifted to Aam Aadmi Party. Example, Tripura. Congress party's vote overnight, lock, stock and barrel, shifted to the BJP. Chances are that in West Bengal also, bulk of the vote that the BJP has been getting and got even in last parliament election is the Congress vote and Congress left vote. So that vote has shifted to the BJP, but in most other places, the vote is going someplace else. Even in West Bengal, vote that cannot go to the BJP, that includes Muslims and many others who are committed Congress voters, they have gone to Didi. Now, this has happened in Delhi because Aam Aadmi Party provided an anti-BJP, a credible anti-BJP alternative in Delhi. Aam Aadmi Party did some of that in Punjab, but was stopped short of the target and is now struggling because of the demographics of Punjab. But once again, the indication from Gujarat, if Aam Aadmi Party can get the Patel vote, collective Patel vote in Surat, which was the Congress's in 2017, and if even AIMIM, Oasis party, can take the Muslims away in Ahmedabad, that tells you that Congress party's 20% confirmed vote is now going up begging. So in any state where a political power or leader rises to make a claim to this vote, he or she will get it. So I told you yesterday about our 50 word edits. We have one today on this Gujarat municipal elections as well. So please see that. Let me conclude today's Katta Clutter with that 50 word edit, and I might do it more often now.